This is San Diego News Daily.
Hey there and welcome to San Diego News Daily. I'm Stephen Luke. A man from Lakeside is in federal custody right now after a large-scale investigation tying him to ISIS. Now, he's accused of working with two other men, one from Kansas and the other from Northern California, to pay the terrorist organization to aid in an attack on U.S. service members. His name, 25-year-old Barine Dzei, arrested yesterday at this home right here in Lakeside. So investigators say Dzei and two other men gave more than $2,000 to someone they thought was an ISIS member to purchase weapons to aid in an attack on American service members overseas. Turns out it was an informant. Neighbors also tell us they believe Dzei served in the military himself, making news of this arrest particularly difficult for veterans and military families living here.
But it's close to the heart, right? You got to be kidding me that this just went down, right? And we didn't know, right? There's no way.
According to prosecutors, during his conversations with the other men, Dzei is suggesting targeting U.S. Special Forces in drone attacks. Well, in a few days, San Diego City leaders will vote on a new budget. And while they've spent some time recently talking about revisions, the really big headline happened before the meeting even took place as community leaders announced they've put together a framework here, a new funding plan to offset those proposed cuts to the arts that we've heard so much about. So about $6 million would come from hotel tax revenue. More than $1 million in grant programs would be restored, and another $3 million would come from the Prebis Foundation.
This is not about funding some abstract luxury. This is about protecting one of San Diego's greatest strengths.
During the meeting, council members appeared to be divided on funding for those automated license plate readers that police say are so crucial to solving crimes. This Tuesday, Mayor Gloria will present his final proposal to the council ahead of a final vote. Among homeless advocates, there's an ongoing debate about how to help people get off the streets. Homelessness, of course, often tied to addiction, so some believe a treatment-first approach is best, and then there's others who say housing needs to come first. Well, now the Trump administration's Department of Housing and Urban Development is shifting and reducing its homeless funding strategy and putting treatment first. Local groups are divided over the approach. Housing First advocates say affordability is still the main issue. Treatment First advocates arguing without treatment, often these people end up right back on the streets.
We've got people with 2 jobs, 3 jobs coming onto our streets because they can't afford rent, much less utilities. We know that the end of homelessness begins with a home, and that funding is all dried up.
Sometimes you'd have people that would get the housing and they never actually get stabilized. So even though the housing was there, we learned that's not enough.
Meantime, a recent federal report finding homelessness is down in California as well as across the country. It's the first national decrease since 2016. And here at home, San Diego, of course, has dealt with this problem for a while now. And as the budget crisis continues to make it more difficult for homeless funding, a local group is stepping up to try and fill in any of the possible gaps. The Lucky Duck Foundation announced it will dig into its privately donated reserves to try and cover what the city cannot. For example, the city is proposing to reduce capacity at the shelter at 16th and Newton. The foundation is also launching an online shelter inventory to track how many shelter beds are available in each city in the county.
So for every 10 people out on the streets that are trying to get into a shelter right now, 1 gets placed. We'll do our part, but we expect local government to do theirs as well.
The city of San Diego says the proposed 2027 budget looks at the entire city-funded shelter system and takes a strategic approach to investments in addressing homelessness, saying reducing homelessness is still a top priority. We have new details this morning about the deadly beating of an Army veteran. Here he is right here, and this happened outside of what's been referred to as the Trump House in Escondido. NBC 7 crews talking with a man who not only witnessed the attack, but also stepped in and tried to stop it. Here's NBC 7's Dave Summers with an update you'll see only here.
All Anthony Cabrera wanted was to get between accused killer Thomas Butler and Army veteran 69-year-old Carrie Sharon. But he would have to fight his way there.
The guy looked at me and said, "You're gonna die too." Straight at me.
Why? Why you come up to me?
Cabrera recorded the attack on his phone.
You're a human being. Dude, no. Whoa, I never.
The blow was enough to make the attacker run away. Cabrera is a private contractor for the city of Escondido. He was in his car across the street from Sharon's house doing paperwork. Sharon and Cabrera spoke for some 15 minutes before the two heard loud banging on Sharon's front door. Cabrera says Butler was screaming, "Come out," used a gay slur, and called him a hater. When Sharon asked him to leave his home, that's when the attack happened. This doorbell recording shows Sharon punched to the ground, then twice kicked in the head.
So fast. It's kind of insane.
That's Cabrera on the left side of the screen being attacked afterward. When he reached Sharon on the ground, the victim appeared non-responsive.
He was out cold. He was snoring up blood. I had him put on his side, and then just so he could breathe properly.
Cabrera called 911 and stayed with him till the ambulance arrived. 4 days Sharon spent on life support before finally dying of his injuries.
I just couldn't get over the fact that he actually died. It's not easy.
There's a great deal of debate over the motivation behind this murder. For more than 6 years, Sharon's home has been wrapped in American flags and President Donald Trump tributes. The attack appeared unprovoked. When the suspect was banging on Sharon's door, Cabrera says he was shouting,
It was full, "Get out here," and "You like calling people vulgar names." He said, "You like calling people fat."
Cabrera snapped this photo of Butler before he fled the scene.
It's just somebody super angry. Angry at who knows, but definitely to somebody who doesn't deserve it.
Dave Summers, NBC 7.
We'll continue to follow that story as the court proceedings will get underway probably next month. Meantime, we have your first alert forecast with Brooke Martell moments away.
We are rolling. Your left, I'm sorry.
Let's do this.
Where do you get your information from?
Well, definitely start with the local news.
The reason why I love listening to local news like NBC, they give the facts.
California families could feel
They have a genuine interest, first as people and second as a news team.
Because this is their community too.
Sometimes the news isn't always fun. Bringing it to us every day in good and bad times is something that we rely on.
Nice to have you with us.
Taking that look outside over Mount Laguna, looking south, blue skies here. You can see some of the cloud cover out there in the distance, but pretty socked in out along the coastline and over your inland valleys. As we get into the rest of your morning, we're looking at those temperatures to hover right around the 60s into the low 70s. It will be a little bit cooler for today. Mostly cloudy skies even by this afternoon around 2 o'clock. Here's a look at that coastal planner for La Jolla. High rip current risk remains, so just be careful if you plan on getting in the water. These are dangerous conditions, and check in with a lifeguard when you get to the coast. Ask them where it is safest to get in the water, if at all. And taking a look here at the wave heights, up to 6 feet today. That high tide will return around 4:40 this afternoon. Hourly forecast for La Jolla and most of your coastline shows mostly cloudy skies for today. Temperatures out along the coast will be hovering close to those upper 60s. Here's a look at that area forecast. Upper 60s to about 70 degrees for today. The 70 degrees will be right around the downtown region. Low 70s for La Mesa, 76 for Poway, 75 for Escondido, up to the low 80s over Ramona. And we'll have those 70s and 80s today over your mountain communities. Close to 102 for the desert region. Here's a look at your future weather pattern. So we do have the cloud cover, as you know, lingering into this afternoon. Could be patchy over the inland valley communities, but right around 4 o'clock, winds will still be a factor over the mountain communities and the desert region. We have westerly to southwesterly flow here with winds that could gust around 35 to 45 miles per hour. West of the mountains, cloudy skies. That'll continue through the overnight hours into your Sunday morning. Here's a look at what's going on. So we have this low pressure that's influencing those conditions we have this weekend, keeping us on the cooler side. Right behind it will be this high pressure system that will warm us up gradually next week. Here's what it looks like on the 10-day forecast. And you can see between about Monday and Friday, it could be about a 5 or 4 degree difference depending on where you are. For the coastline, it means the mid 70s, but for the inland valleys next week, it means a return to some low to mid 80s. Here's a look at the mountain communities. That same trend, a little bit cooler today through Tuesday before we start to see more 80s back in the forecast there. For the desert region, those temperatures are actually going to stay right around 100 up to about 106, 107 degrees through the extended period. Stephen.
Brooke, thanks. You know, with many of the upcoming World Cup matches being played in Mexico, a lot of fans right now are considering crossing the border to see the action in person in Mexico. And the Border Xpress has been working with airlines and authorities to make international travel easier. And we're so fortunate to have this right here in our own backyard. And it's also, they say, making sure that it's very secure for Americans who are either entering Mexico or coming back into the U.S.
We're ready. We're excited of this great opportunity to have, for the first time, a World Cup within 3 countries and to be the gateway to connect people from Southern California to Monterrey, Guadalajara, and Mexico City, where many games are going to happen, and to bring many Mexicans and Latin American people, especially to LA, where we're going to have some games as well.
So if you head to use the CBX, look for their new mural where fans can stand on the dividing line between Mexico and the U.S. More coverage you count on, as always, at NBC7.com. I'm Stephen Luke. We'll see you soon.